Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. In the quiet morning, the fields were bright and calm. Cornfields stood in the sun. One person, wearing simple blue clothes, moved between the corn stalks. They touched the leaves softly. The ground showed signs of hard work, with shadows and mud everywhere. "Peter, your breakfast is ready." The voice came with the wind and made Peter stop working. He stood up and wiped his hands on his clothes. He walked to the farmhouse, a small white house, looking forward to breakfast. Inside, a wood stove was hot, cooking the morning meal. Peter's mother stood by the stove in a clean gray dress. She looked neat and careful. Peter's father sat at the table. He had a long beard and wore black work pants held up by suspenders. "Sit," his father commanded, not looking up from his Bible. Peter took his place at the table, bowing his head for the morning prayer. The familiar words washed over him, but his mind wandered to places it shouldn't, to questions that had no place in this orderly world of rules and tradition. After breakfast, Peter returned to the fields with his younger brother Samuel. They worked in companionable silence, the rhythm of farm life as predictable as the seasons. But something stirred beneath Peter's calm exterior, something that had been growing stronger with each passing year. "You're 18 next month," Samuel said, breaking the silence. "Rumspringa." Peter nodded, his stomach tightening. Rumspringa, the time when Amish youth could experience the outside world before choosing baptism and commitment to the faith. Most returned. Some didn't. "You'll come back," Samuel continued, as if reading his thoughts. "Everyone always does." Peter forced a smile. Of course. But even as the words left his mouth, he knew they felt wrong. Everything felt wrong lately. The clothes he wore, the future mapped out before him, even his own reflection in the water trough each morning. He'd catch himself staring at his mother's dresses hanging on the line, wondering what the fabric would feel like against his skin. These thoughts terrified him more than any punishment from the elders ever could. The weeks passed slowly until his 18th birthday arrived with little fanfare. A simple cake, a new shirt sewn by his mother, and the unspoken understanding that he could now venture beyond their community's borders. His first trip to town came 3 days later. Peter hitched a ride with an English neighbor who often bought produce from their farm. The man's red pickup truck bounced along the gravel road, country music playing softly on the radio. "First time heading out on your own?" the neighbor asked. "Yes, sir." "Well, don't let the big wide world corrupt you too much," the man chuckled. "Though I suppose that's the whole point of this Rumspringa business." Peter sat rigid in the passenger seat, watching as farms gave way to houses with electric lines, then to actual streets with traffic lights and shopping centers. When they reached the small city 40 miles from home, Peter felt both terrified and exhilarated. "I'll pick you up at this corner at 4 o'clock, the neighbor said, pulling over. "Don't be late." Peter nodded and stepped onto the sidewalk. The noise hit him first. Cars honking, people talking on cell phones, music spilling from store windows. He walked aimlessly, taking in sights he'd only imagined. Women passed in pants and short skirts, their hair flowing free instead of hidden under prayer caps. Men wore bright colors and patterns that would scandalize the elders. A clothing store window caught his attention. The mannequins wore dresses in shades of pink and yellow, fabric that looked soft as butter. Peter stood transfixed, pressing his palm against the cool glass. "Can I help you?" Peter jumped. A woman with short red hair stood beside him, shopping bags in hand. She wore jeans and a green blouse, her smile kind but curious. No, just looking." "First time in the city?" She glanced at his plain clothes, her expression softening. "Rumspringa?" Peter nodded, embarrassed. "Nothing to be ashamed of. We all have to start somewhere." She shifted her bags. "If you need anything, directions, recommendations for lunch, whatever, just ask. Most folks around here are pretty friendly." She walked away before Peter could respond. He remained at the window a moment longer, then forced himself to move on. The day passed in a blur of new experiences. He ate pizza for the first time, watched people on laptops in a coffee shop, and discovered a small bookstore, where he spent an hour just running his fingers along the spines. But it was the clothing stores that drew him back again and again. Not the men's sections with their identical rows of pants and shirts, but the women's areas with their rainbow of possibilities. He didn't dare go inside, but he memorized every display, every style, every texture visible through the windows. When 4 o'clock came, Peter waited at the designated corner, his mind spinning. The ride home passed in silence, the neighbor respecting his need to process. As the familiar farms came into view, Peter felt something shift inside him. The questions that had plagued him for years suddenly had a possible answer, even if he couldn't fully articulate it yet. Over the following weeks, Peter made more trips to the city. He told his parents he was exploring job opportunities, considering his options. They seemed pleased by his thoughtfulness, unaware of the real exploration happening. On his 5th trip, Peter finally worked up the courage to enter a department store. He wandered through the men's section first, maintaining appearances, before casually drifting toward the women's area. His heart pounded as he touched a soft blue dress, the fabric like nothing he'd ever felt. Finding everything okay? A saleswoman appeared, her name tag reading Jennifer. She wore a black skirt and white blouse, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. "I'm shopping for my sister," Peter lied, the words tasting bitter. "What size is she?" Peter panicked. He had no idea about sizes, about any of this. "She's about my height?" Jennifer smiled knowingly. "Rumspringa?" Peter's face burned. "How did you—" "Honey, you're not the first Amish kid to come through here figuring things out. And you won't be the last." She lowered her voice. "If you want to try something on, the fitting rooms are private. No judgment here." Peter's hands shook. "I couldn't—" "The blue dress you were looking at would probably be a size medium. The fitting rooms are just over there. Take your time." She walked away, leaving Peter frozen. The dress hung before him, innocent and terrifying. Before he could lose his nerve, he grabbed it and headed for the fitting rooms. Inside the small cubicle, Peter stared at his reflection. His work-roughened hands fumbled with buttons and zippers, clumsy with unfamiliar fastenings. When he finally pulled the dress over his head and smoothed it down, he couldn't breathe. The person in the mirror wasn't Peter. She was someone else entirely, someone who'd been hiding beneath layers of denial and fear. The dress fit awkwardly over his masculine frame, but that didn't matter. What mattered was the feeling of rightness that flooded through him, so powerful it brought tears to his eyes. A soft knock interrupted his revelation. "Everything okay in there?" "Yes," Peter managed, his voice cracking. "If you need different sizes or styles, just let me know." Peter changed back into his regular clothes with shaking hands. He folded the dress carefully and emerged from the fitting room. Jennifer waited nearby, her expression gentle. "How did it feel?" The question broke something inside Peter. "Like coming home," he whispered. Jennifer nodded. "I thought so. Listen, I know this is overwhelming, but you're not alone. There's a support group that meets at the library on Thursday evenings. People who understand what you're going through." She handed him a small card with an address and time. Peter tucked it into his pocket, like a lifeline. "The dress? Would you like to buy it?" Peter shook his head. He had no money, no place to keep it. "Not yet. It'll be here when you're ready." Peter left the store in a daze. The world looked different now, sharper and more vivid. He had a word for what he was feeling, even if he couldn't quite say it out loud yet. The card in his pocket felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Thursday came faster than expected. Peter told his parents he was meeting with a potential employer, hating the lie, but knowing the truth was impossible. The library was a modern building with large windows and comfortable reading areas. He found the meeting room easily, hesitating outside the door. Voices drifted through. Laughter, conversation, the clink of coffee cups. Normal sounds that somehow made this feel more real. Peter took a deep breath and opened the door. 8 people sat in a circle of chairs. They ranged in age from early 20s to late 50s, dressed in everything from business attire to casual jeans. A woman with short black hair looked up and smiled. "Welcome. First time?" Peter nodded, unable to speak. "Come in, grab some coffee if you want. We're just getting started." Peter took a seat, trying to become invisible. But as the meeting progressed, he found himself listening intently. People shared their stories, struggles with identity, family rejection, small victories, and large ones. The woman with black hair, who introduced herself as Monica, had transitioned 5 years ago. A younger person named David was just beginning hormone therapy. "Would you like to share anything?" Monica asked gently when the conversation lulled. "No pressure. Sometimes it helps just to listen." Peter cleared his throat. I'm Amish, on Rumspringa." Understanding dawned on several faces. Monica leaned forward. "That must be incredibly difficult. The intersection of faith and identity is never easy." "I don't know what I am," Peter admitted. "I just know that when I tried on a dress for the first time, it felt right. More right than anything in my life has felt." "That's a good start," David said. "It took me years to admit that to myself." The meeting continued, and Peter felt something unknot in his chest. These people understood. They'd walked similar paths, faced similar fears. When the meeting ended, Monica approached him. "There's a lot to process, I know, but you're welcome here whenever you need us. And if you ever need resources, clothing, makeup lessons, just someone to talk to, we're here." Peter thanked her and left, his mind reeling. Over the next weeks, he attended every meeting. He learned new vocabulary, new ways of understanding himself. The word transgender stopped feeling foreign and started feeling like truth. On his 20th visit to the city, Peter made a decision. He entered the department store where Jennifer worked, cash saved from odd jobs clutched in his hand. "You came back," Jennifer smiled. "Ready this time?" "Yes." Peter bought 3 dresses that day, the blue one he'd first tried, a simple green sundress, and a pink blouse with a black skirt. Jennifer helped him find undergarments that would fit properly, showed him how to create the illusion of curves with the right clothing. "Where will you keep them?" she asked as she rang up the purchase. "There's an old barn on the edge of our property. No one goes there anymore." It wasn't ideal, but it was something. Peter left with his purchases hidden in a nondescript bag, feeling like he carried explosives. The barn became his sanctuary. Late at night, when everyone slept, he'd slip out and transform. The dresses hung from a beam, hidden behind old equipment. A small mirror propped against the wall let him see himself, practice walking in the unfamiliar clothes, experiment with posture and movement. During one of these sessions, Peter made another decision. The person in the mirror needed a name. Peter belonged to the boy everyone expected him to be, but she was someone new. "Anna," he whispered to his reflection. The name felt right on his tongue. "I'm Anna." The support group celebrated when Anna shared this revelation. Monica hugged her tight, and David offered tips on choosing a full name. "Anna what?" David asked. "You get to choose, you know. It's one of the few perks of this whole thing." Anna hadn't considered a last name. Her family name carried too much weight, too many expectations, but choosing felt overwhelming. "Take your time," Monica advised. "Some people keep their family names, some choose completely new ones. There's no wrong answer." As summer turned to fall, Anna's double life grew more complex. Days were still spent as Peter, working the farm and attending church. But evenings and nights belonged to Anna. She practiced with makeup Monica had given her, learned to style the cheap blonde wig she'd bought when her own hair proved too short. The wig was her one indulgence beyond clothes. She'd seen it in a shop window, long blonde waves that fell past the shoulders. It transformed her face more than any makeup could, softening the angles and making her feel beautiful. "You know you can grow your own hair out," Monica mentioned during one meeting. "Lots of us start with wigs, but your natural hair will always look better in the long run." Anna touched the blonde strands self-consciously. "My family would notice. The men, we keep our hair short." "Rumspringa, though," David pointed out. "Isn't the whole point that you get to experiment?" It was true. Anna had seen other Amish youth return from Rumspringa with longer hair, different styles. They cut it before baptism, of course, But during this time of exploration, some rules bent. That night, Anna studied her reflection. Beneath the wig, her natural hair was dark brown, cropped short in the traditional style. But it could grow. She could let it grow and see what happened. The decision to stop cutting her hair marked a turning point. It was a small rebellion, but it felt monumental. Each week, the length increased imperceptibly. Anna learned to slick it back during the day, maintaining a masculine appearance. But at night, she'd release it, practicing different styles as it slowly grew. 3 months into her journey, Anna faced a crisis. Her father announced that Samuel Yoder had expressed interest in courting her. Or rather, courting Peter. The Yoders were a good family, their daughter Rachel, sweet and devoted. "You'll meet with her after church on Sunday," her father declared. "It's time you started thinking about your future." Anna nodded mechanically, her stomach churning. That night in the barn, she stared at her reflection and wept. The blue dress that had brought such joy now felt like a costume. How could she court Rachel when she knew the truth about herself? How could she perpetuate this lie? The support group rallied around her. Monica shared her own story of a forced engagement before transition, the pain of living inauthentically. David talked about losing family, but finding himself. "You have choices," Monica reminded her. "They might be hard choices, but they exist." "What if I left?" Anna asked. "Just didn't go back?" "Some do," an older member named Carol said. "It's not easy. You'd need a job, a place to live, documents. But it's possible." The seed was planted. Anna began researching in earnest, using library computers to look up job opportunities, housing options, the practical details of starting over. The support group connected her with resources, a shelter that helped LGBTQ youth, job training programs, clinics that provided hormones on a sliding scale. Sunday arrived too quickly. Anna sat through church in her male clothes, the familiar hymns feeling like dirges. Rachel Yoder smiled at her from across the room, clearly excited about their meeting. She was pretty in the conventional way, with dark hair tucked under her prayer covering and kind brown eyes. After service, their families arranged for them to walk together, properly chaperoned by Rachel's younger sister at a respectful distance. Rachel chattered nervously about quilting and cooking, clearly trying to impress. "Peter, you're very quiet." Anna forced herself to focus. "Sorry, I'm just thinking." "About us?" Rachel blushed prettily. "In a way." They walked in silence for a moment before Rachel spoke again. "I know this is sudden, but I've always thought you were different from the other boys. Gentler, more thoughtful." The words cut deep. Rachel saw something true, even if she didn't understand what it meant. "Rachel, Anna stopped. What could she say? That the gentleness Rachel admired came from not being a boy at all? That the person she wanted to court didn't exist? "It's okay," Rachel said softly. "We have time. Rumspringa isn't over yet." But time was exactly what Anna didn't have. Each day the pressure mounted. Her parents spoke of baptism, of settling down. The community watched her with increasing interest, waiting for Peter to make the choice they all expected. 2 weeks later, Anna made her own choice. She wrote the letter late at night, tears blurring the words. She explained as best she could, knowing her parents might never understand. She was leaving to live as her true self. She was becoming Anna. She loved them, but couldn't live a lie. The next morning, before dawn, Anna dressed in her male clothes one last time. She packed her dresses, her makeup, the few possessions that mattered. The blonde wig went into the bag last, a promise of who she'd become. Monica waited at the end of the farm road in her car, just as promised. Anna looked back once at the white farmhouse, at the life she was leaving behind. Then she got in the car and didn't look back again. The transition wasn't easy. The shelter Monica had arranged was crowded and noisy, nothing like the pastoral quiet Anna had known. But it was safe, and the staff understood. They helped her obtain documents, enroll in job training, access medical care. Anna's hair grew steadily, though not as quickly as she'd like. The blonde wig remained necessary for now, but she dreamed of the day she wouldn't need it. She found work at a grocery store, stocking shelves at night when fewer people would stare. The hormones came 3 months after leaving home. Anna cried when she took the first dose, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the moment. Changes came slowly. Softer skin, redistribution of fat, small buds of breast growth that ached and thrilled in equal measure. "You're blooming," Monica said during one of their coffee dates. "I can see it in your face." Anna touched her cheek self-consciously. The features were the same, but something had shifted. She looked less like Peter pretending and more like Anna becoming. 6 months after leaving, Anna received unexpected news. Someone from her past had been asking about her at the shelter. Not her parents. The description didn't match, but someone who knew her Amish background. Paranoid, Anna almost didn't agree to meet them, but curiosity won out. She arranged to meet in a public place, a busy coffee shop downtown. She wore her favorite green dress and the blonde wig styled carefully. If someone from her past was going to see her, she wanted to look her best. The person who walked through the door stopped Anna's heart. Her father stood in the entrance, but not as she'd ever seen him. Gone were the traditional clothes, the long beard. He wore English clothes, jeans and a button-down shirt. His hair was shorter, but styled differently. And his expression, "Peter?" he said uncertainly, scanning the coffee shop. Anna raised her hand slightly. Their eyes met. Her father's face cycled through emotions, shock, confusion, something that might have been recognition. He approached slowly, as if Anna might bolt. "May I sit?" Anna nodded, not trusting her voice. They stared at each other across the small table. Up close, Anna could see the changes more clearly. Her father's face was clean-shaven for the first time in her memory. Without the beard, his features looked softer, more delicate than she'd realized. "You left," he said finally. "I had to." "I know." The response surprised her. I found your letter. Your mother was going to burn it, but I saved it. I've read it many times. Why are you here? How did you find me?" Her father, though that term felt strange now, fidgeted with his coffee cup. "I hired someone, a private investigator. I had to know you were safe." "And the clothes? What happened to you?" A sad smile crossed the familiar face. "You happened. Your letter. It made me confront things I'd buried for 40 years. Anna's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "I mean that you're not the only one who used to sneak into barns at night, who wondered what it would feel like to wear different clothes, who pushed those feelings down because there was no other choice." The confession hung between them like a physical thing. Anna reached across the table, taking her parents' hand. "Are you saying—" "I don't know what I'm saying. I know that when I read your letter, when I understood what you were telling us, something broke inside me. Or maybe something finally broke free. Tears rolled down the newly smooth cheeks. I left too. A month after you. I couldn't pretend anymore." They talked for hours. Anna learned that her parent, I don't know what to call myself yet, had found a support group too, had started therapy, was considering hormones but felt overwhelmed by the choices. "I'm 58 years old," her parents said. "Is it too late?" "It's never too late," Anna said firmly. "Monica, my friend, she transitioned at 62. She says every day living authentically is worth it." They met regularly after that. Anna introduced her parent to her support group, helped navigate the medical system, shared resources. Watching someone she'd known her whole life transform was surreal, but beautiful. Her parent chose the name Diana. "I always loved that name," Diana explained. "Your mother had a cousin named Diana who visited once. She wore this purple dress that I couldn't stop staring at." Diana started hormones 6 months after their reunion. The changes at her age were subtle but meaningful. She grew her hair out, learned makeup from Anna and Monica, developed her own style that was elegant and age-appropriate. "I feel like I'm finally breathing," Diana said one day, admiring a new pair of earrings. "Like I've been holding my breath for 6 decades and can finally exhale." Anna understood completely. Her own transition continued steadily. Her natural hair finally reached her shoulders, darker than the blonde wig but lustrous and healthy. She'd legally changed her name, updated her documents, started living fully as herself. The grocery store promoted her to day shift, then to assistant manager. She discovered an aptitude for art during a community center class, particularly painting. Her small apartment filled with canvases depicting memories of farm life, filtered through her new perspective. "You should apply to art school," Monica suggested, admiring a painting of a barn at sunset. A figure in a blue dress barely visible in the doorway. "I only have an 8th grade education," Anna protested. "So get your GED first, then apply. You're 20 now, you have your whole life ahead of you." The idea took root. Anna enrolled in GED classes, studying between work shifts. Diana helped, their study sessions becoming bonding experiences. 2 former Amish farmers learning algebra and essay writing, both wearing dresses and makeup. It would have been funny if it wasn't so poignant. A year into their new lives, Diana received a letter. Anna recognized the handwriting immediately, her mother's careful script. "She wants to meet," Diana said, voice shaking. "She says Jessica Muller is getting married. Wants to know if I'll come." Jessica had been Anna's childhood friend. The invitation felt like both an olive branch and a test. "What will you do?" Diana set the letter down. "I don't know. How can I go back there like this?" They debated for weeks. Anna had received no such invitation, which stung. But Diana's presence was requested, even if her mother didn't know who Diana had become. "We could go together," Anna suggested finally. "Face it as a family." "She doesn't know about you. She thinks you just left for the English world." Then maybe it's time she knew. The decision made, they prepared carefully. Diana called her wife, breaking the news as gently as possible. The silence on the other end lasted so long, they thought the connection had dropped. "You're saying you're a woman?" Anna's mother's voice was barely a whisper. "I've always been a woman. I just couldn't admit it before." "And Peter?" Diana looked at Anna, who nodded. "Anna, her name is Anna now. She's living as a woman too." This time the silence was broken by sobbing. Diana and Anna clutched hands, waiting. "I don't understand," their mother finally said. "How can this be?" "We'd like to explain, in person, at Jessica's wedding, if you'll have us." I need time to think." The call ended uncertainly, but 3 days later, another call came. Their mother agreed to meet them the day before the wedding. Not at the farm, that would cause too much stir, but at a small inn in the nearby town. Anna and Diana drove toward their old community on a bright October morning. Diana wore a modest purple dress with a gray cardigan. Anna chose a simple blue dress, not unlike the first one she'd ever tried on, but fitted properly now to her changed figure. Both had their hair styled conservatively, makeup subtle. "You ready for this?" Diana asked as familiar farmland rolled past. "No, you?" "Not at all." They laughed nervously, drawing strength from shared fear. The inn was quaint, clearly chosen for its discretion. Anna's mother waited in the small lobby, wearing traditional dress but looking older, more fragile than Anna remembered. She stood when they entered, eyes widening. For a long moment, no one moved. "My God," she whispered, "it's really true." Diana stepped forward. "Ruth?" Their mother held up a hand. "Give me a moment, please." She studied them both, taking in every detail. Anna felt exposed, vulnerable under that familiar gaze. "You look—" Their mother paused, searching for words. "You look like yourselves." It wasn't what Anna expected. "What do you mean?" "I mean I can see it now, what I missed before, or maybe what I didn't want to see." She sank back into her chair. "Come, sit. We have much to discuss." They talked through the afternoon. Ruth, she asked them to call her that, not mother, not yet, listened more than she spoke. She asked practical questions about hormones and surgeries, struggled with pronouns but corrected herself, cried when Diana described decades of hiding. "I failed you both," she said eventually. "A mother should know, should see." "You couldn't have known what we didn't understand ourselves," Anna offered. "Perhaps, but I could have created space for questions. Instead, I enforced rules." As evening approached, Ruth made a decision. "You'll come to the wedding tomorrow, both of you. As you are. Ruth, that could cause problems, Diana warned. Let them gossip. I've lost too much already. I won't lose more to fear. The wedding day dawned crisp and clear. Anna and Diana dressed carefully, formal but not flashy, respectful of the setting. Ruth met them outside the barn where the ceremony would be held. Stay close to me, she instructed. Let me handle questions. Walking into that barn felt like entering a time machine. The same faces, the same customs, but Anna and Diana were irreversibly changed. Whispers followed their progress, eyes widened in recognition and shock. Jessica herself broke the tension. The bride rushed over, wedding dress rustling. Peter, is that really you? It's Anna now, Anna said gently. Congratulations on your wedding. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. I heard you left. I never thought... But you look beautiful. Both of you. The ceremony proceeded with Anna and Diana seated beside Ruth. Some community members pointedly avoided them. Others stared with undisguised curiosity. But a few, mostly younger people on their own Rumspringa, looked at them with something like hope. After the ceremony, during the meal, people slowly approached. Questions came, some kind, others less so. Ruth deflected the worst with steel in her voice. My family is my family, she said to one particularly vocal critic. If you have issue with that, take it up with God. An elderly woman Anna barely remembered touched her hand gently. I had a cousin like you, she whispered. Left for the city in 1962, never came back. I hope she found happiness like you have. As the sun set, Anna, Diana, and Ruth stood outside the barn. The celebration continued without them. They'd pushed boundaries enough for one day. Will you come home? Ruth asked. Not to stay. I understand that's impossible now, but to visit? If you'll have us, Diana said. Always. You're my family. Different than I imagined, but mine nonetheless. They embraced then, all three women crying. It wasn't perfect. There was still pain, still confusion, still a long road ahead. But it was a beginning. The drive back to the city was quiet. Anna watched the farmland fade into suburbs, thinking about journeys and destinations. She'd started as Peter, a boy who didn't fit. She'd become Anna, a woman still discovering herself. The path had been painful, but necessary. You okay? Diana asked. Yeah, just thinking. About? About how sometimes getting lost is the only way to find yourself. Diana smiled. We did get pretty lost, didn't we? The best kind of lost. Anna's apartment building came into view, the city lights twinkling like stars. Tomorrow she had GED class, then her shift at the store, then dinner with Monica to discuss art school applications. A full life, a real life, one she'd chosen for herself. As they parked, Anna caught her reflection in the side mirror. Blonde hair, her natural color now grown long, framed a face that finally matched her spirit. She wasn't done becoming, might never be done. But she was Anna, fully and completely, and that was enough. Home? Diana asked. Anna smiled. Home. They walked into the building together, two women who'd found themselves by losing everything else first. Behind them, the city hummed with possibility. Ahead lay challenges and triumphs they couldn't yet imagine. But in that moment, they were simply family, complicated, transformed, but unbreakably connected. The elevator carried them up, and Anna thought about the young person in dark blue work clothes who'd once stood in a cornfield, yearning for something he couldn't name. She'd found it now, not just in dresses or hormones or a new name, but in the courage to live truthfully. As her apartment door closed behind them, Anna whispered a prayer of gratitude, not to the God of her childhood, with his rigid rules and narrow paths, but to whatever force had given her strength to break free. Anna's story comes to a close, a tale of transformation and acceptance. The narrative ends where it began, in a home filled with warmth and love, a sanctuary from the world's complexities. As the last chapter unfolds, Anna, now an embodiment of peace and resolution, reflects on the battles that lay behind and the ones yet to come. Her struggle for existence is far from over, But for a fleeting moment, the chaos of her world is muted. Amid the gentle glow of her living room, Anna savors a simple pleasure: tea shared with the parent who has come to understand and cherish her newfound identity. Her thoughts wander beyond her window, towards the metropolis that twinkles in the distance, each light a symbol of lives lived and destinies yet to unfold. In this moment, Anna's mind stretches to other worlds, other beings. She toasts silently to the Peters who, like herself, could question their true identities and take that daring leap into the unknown. She raises her cup in solidarity to those fathers who would mirror her own father's journey, one of learning, unlearning, and loving without bounds. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.